Alright, so one of the first ways that eBay makes money as a company is with something called final value fees. And I'm sure that if you've been selling on eBay for some time, you already know what this is. But for anyone that's new to the world of eBay, the way that it works is that once someone lists an item on eBay and the customer now buys the item from whatever seller, that seller is going to get charged a final value fee. And the amount is going to be dependent on what category that product is based under, plus a 30 cent or 30p, depending on where you live, either America, England, Canada, whatever country you're based, but there's going to be a 30 cent or 30p fixed fee added on top, including the percentage that you're also going to have to pay. And when it comes to the amount that you can expect to pay, as I previously said, it's going to be dependent on what category the item is under. So for example, I've just jumped onto eBay right now. As you can see, there's various different categories and each of them have their own percentage. So for example, if you're looking to sell antiques, you're going to get charged a final value fee of 10.9%. However, if you sell something like hair extensions and wigs, that's going to be 11.9%. Or if you want to sell something like music NFTs, that's going to be around 5%. So you're going to need to go through eBay's website if you're thinking about selling items, just so that you have a full understanding of what you can expect to pay in fees when it comes to the final value fee specifically. All right, so moving on to the second stream of revenue that eBay has, which is with advertising. And there's two ways that eBay makes money through advertising. One way is by charging the seller a fee if they want to promote their listing on the eBay platform. And there's a second way that I'm going to speak about in a moment. But when it comes to eBay advertising in terms of sellers paying a certain fee, there's various different types that a seller can actually promote their listing on eBay. So for example, there's something called promoted listings. So I've just jumped onto eBay, I've typed in laptop desk, and as you can see, the top listing right here is sponsored. And what this seller has done is that they've paid a certain fee to eBay to be pushed at the top right here. And obviously this is going to be beneficial for the seller because they're going to get seen by more customers, which means that they're going to make more sales. And the way that this promoted listing works is that the seller's not going to have to pay anything until the customer actually places the order. So even if someone clicks into the listing, they look around, they decide that they don't want it no more, the seller's not going to have to pay anything for that. The seller only has to pay a promoted listing fee once the customer actually places an order. One of the next forms of eBay advertising that a seller can pay for is multi-buy. So as you can see right here, this is the multi-buy campaign that this seller is using. And the way that this works is that in the back end of this eBay seller's account, they're going to set the multi-buy campaign up, which means that the customer is going to be presented with all of these different options right here for them to save money. So for example, if they buy one, the price is going to be £12.59. However, if the customer buys two, it's only going to cost £11.96. If the customer buys three, it's going to go down even more to £11.58. And if they buy four, it's going to be even cheaper. So the multi-buy campaign is really good for the customer, obviously, because they're going to save money, but it's also good for the seller because it's going to incentivize customers to buy multiple at the same time, which is going to increase the average order value for the sellers. And it's going to save money when it comes to postage because the seller is going to be able to ship out multiple at the same time rather than the customer buying one today and then coming back and buying another one next week. And remember when I said earlier that eBay makes money through advertising in two ways. They charge sellers a certain fee for them to promote their listing, and they make money when it comes to charging external companies to promote on their platform. So for example, we can see it right here on the right hand side. We can see Swarovski, if I'm saying that right. So they've paid a certain fee to eBay for them to be showcased on the right hand side here. And if we just click into any random listing, I just want to show you other ways that external companies are paying money to eBay for them to be advertised on the website. All right, so I've just clicked on this listing right here and I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. And as you guys can see over here, there's various different ads for all of these different companies that have nothing to do with eBay, or they're not eBay sellers, but they've paid a certain fee for them to show up right here. So eBay is making revenue from all of these different ads on all of these different listings on the homepage, on the search results. This is another way that eBay makes money. And in my opinion, I don't believe that it's a smart idea for eBay to do this because it's going to distract a lot of customers when it comes to them shopping on eBay. So for example, if I was a customer and I was looking to buy this laptop desk and I scrolled down to the bottom and I saw all of these other external laptop desks being advertised, I'm obviously going to click into it and it's going to take me off eBay, which means that the seller that put all this effort in to list their product is losing out on a lot of sales because eBay is just thinking about their own revenue, which isn't really a problem because the money that eBay makes from all of these external ads, they may be putting back into the development of eBay, but I think it's a bad idea to distract customers and take them off the eBay platform. But either way, this is another way that eBay is bringing money into their company and is contributed to them making over $10 billion in just 1 year. All right, so swiftly moving on to one of the next ways that eBay makes money is with something called store subscriptions. Now, if you're new to the world of eBay, you've probably never heard of this, but if you are a seller, you definitely know what this is. And this is a monthly subscription that you can pay for you to have a storefront on eBay, and it comes with various different benefits. I'm not going to go through all of them, but there's various different levels that you can pay for. And in the UK, we've got a certain amount of store subscriptions that you can pay for, and in America, I believe that you have some different ones. But for example, in the UK, we've got 3 different levels that you can choose from. You can either have a basic shop, which is around £25 per month. You can either have the featured shop, which is £69 a month, which is what I have, or you can have the anchored shop, which is around £400 a month. And depending on which one you pick, it's going to come with different benefits and different advantages and various different things. However, in the US, you guys have some other options. So you've got a starter pack, you've got the basic one, you've got premium, you've got anchor, and you've got the enterprise one. And as you can see, the enterprise plan costs around $3,000 every single month. However, the anchor one costs $300 per month, etc., etc. So eBay's making a decent amount of revenue from all of these different store subscription plans. Now, moving on to one of the next ways that eBay makes money as a company, which is one of the ways that a lot of sellers are complaining about, which is something called high defect rate fee. And the way that this works is that depending on how many defects you get as a seller, and by the way, defects is something that you get when a customer complains about your product or your service or the speed of delivery. If you build up a certain amount of defects within a certain amount of time, you're going to get charged a high defect fee. So not only are you going to get charged the final value fee, but you're also going to get charged this high defect rate fee. And this is eBay's way of punishing sellers that don't meet the criteria of what they want in their high performing sellers. And that's why it's very important to make sure that you don't fall in this category, because if you start getting these high defect rate fees, it's going to eat into your profit and it's going to make selling on eBay not even worth it. So I'm not necessarily saying that eBay is stealing from their sellers because of this high defect rate fee, because of course it's the seller's job to make sure that they're making the customers happy. And this is eBay's way of penalizing the seller. But in my opinion, I don't believe it makes sense to do this. There should be some other way to penalize a seller without taking money from them, because the more money that you take from a small seller, the harder it's going to be for them to reinvest back into their business over the long term. And moving on to one of the final ways that eBay makes money is by buying and selling companies. And whilst I was doing my research for this video, I was actually surprised for the fact that eBay has purchased over 40 different companies. And I'm not going to go through all of them right now, but there's some famous names that you might know. For example, Craigslist, they purchased that in August 2004, as well as PayPal in 2002. They also purchased Skype in 2005, as well as Gumtree in 2005. And this is one of the ways that eBay makes their money, because when they buy these companies, of course, they're going to own the equity and the profits and the revenues that all of these different companies are going to make. And that's why I'm truly excited about this new series that I'm about to release on this channel, because I wasn't even aware of the fact that eBay owned over 40 different companies. So make sure that whatever company you want me to research, you put it in the comments down below and I'll try and add it to my list. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to press the like button. Don't forget to subscribe as well. Hit the bell notification so that you don't miss all the future videos that I'm about to release on this channel. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one. Make sure you stay safe out there. Peace.